Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
See, wherever I go, stay ready, stay alert, always prepared for whatever. I see you. There's a seat right here. I can see from all angles. I'm ready. It's time to get down to business. Game time.
Hi, honey. I know you just made it to the library, but love of my life, my hero, my lion, you forgot your A game. So come home, take it, and then you can go and conquer the world, black man. Oh, and one more thing. Would it kill you to just wear some socks? I'm just saying. Love you. And can you bring home some milk?
Oh, man. She can kill it. Okay, I'll go back. I'm gonna get my A game. I'm not putting them socks on. I'm good. I'm fly. I'm fresh. I'm gonna stop at 7-Eleven and get some milk.
Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am, of course, your host, femininity coach, and author, The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, as we can see in the title, do Black women hate their children? Now, that may seem to be almost an unnecessary question, maybe even a harsh question. One might wonder, where does such a question come from? But when I think about how many Black children are raised, not all, by their mothers, I have to wonder whether or not there's any care or love there, because many times when I watch children be raised, or I watch the interaction between mothers and children, it's not very loving. It's not with a lot of care and concern or emotional connection. It just seems very detached and very harmful, actually. And that is borne out by a lot of us actually having traumatic upbringings and not having very good interactions or experiences specifically with our mothers. And, you know, I've talked a lot on this channel about the 4 T's, and that has been framed as a mechanism that men use to vet women. But as I was thinking about that, this is also something that you give to people that you have in your life. And mothers have their children in their lives. They choose to have children, and thus they choose that at least for the first 18 to 20 years of that child's life, they are going to have intimate day-to-day contact with those children in the process of raising them. And so when I thought of it that way, I thought about the 4 T's that way and the 4 P's that way. Because men give the 4 P's because men have a general authority over their families and over other things, you know, maybe if they run businesses or are the heads of something, they usually can give the 4 P's, or at minimum, they can give 3 of them the provision of problem solving and the protection, even if they are not always involved in the procreation part of that. But also, when you think about that in terms of mothers to children, mothers give their children the 4 P's because a mother's authority is over her children. So she's responsible for the well-being and the livelihood of her children in all areas until they are adults and can see to these things themselves. So a mother is also providing for her children. She's providing a feminine light to her children, and rather than a masculine one, or she should be. And, she has enough foresight to cover for children. In terms of problem solving, she needs to be able to solve the problems of her children. She needs to be able to talk to them, to see what's going on with them, and intuitively use her insight and her foresight, her limited foresight, to deal with the issues and the problems of her children and resolve those problems for them, because they will first look to her for problem resolution when they run into something. Protection seems to be obvious. Mothers do need to protect their children from any and all harm, even from herself. And this is one that I don't think Black mothers really think about. They don't think about themselves in terms of the ability to harm their children or protecting their children from the harm that comes from them. And then procreation is not only sex, but it includes affection, love, things of that nature, showing care, showing that emotional concern to your offspring as well. And so mothers actually provide, to a certain degree, these 4 things to her children as they are being provided to her by her husband. And so when we take a look at this other one, time, toll, trouble, and threat, we say this is a man's vetting process. The time is something that you, as a mother to a child, you don't vet. You don't vet your children. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to say about it. And the reason why I asked the question, do Black women hate their children? Because they don't actually do these things. The only ones of these 4 T's that they do for their children is maybe pay the toll. They will pay a toll for their children. They'll buy their children things if they can afford it. They will buy, luxury items as well as necessity items, things of that nature. Keep them in the latest gear, keep them with the latest Xbox, keep them with the latest PlayStation, keep them with, the latest iPhones, whatever the case may be. Because a lot of times Black mothers think that raising your child is simply maintaining the child. And this is where I'm really getting at, because when we take a look at the 4 T's, these are also components of raising your children. Because not only do you need to pay the toll of children as mothers, you pay for them, or your husband pays for them, or their father pays for them, but you can do it as well, right? The toll, especially when we're talking about single mothers, which is a high rate of that in the Black community. So the mother is actually paying the toll a lot of the time. But then you don't take time with your children. Time is connected to procreation. Time is connected to trying to build those emotional connections with your children, building those foundations with your children that help them to see you not only as an authority figure over them, but someone who actually cares about them, someone who's actually nurturing them, someone who they can actually turn to when they don't know what to do, when they run into things, when they are confused, when they need answers. All of these sorts of things, they are this time that you spend with your children, building that connection with them, building open lines of good communication with your children so that they can feel comfortable coming to you if they need to. This is the time. And time, like I said, is connected to procreation. And in this particular sense, procreation means that emotional connection. It means that personal type of, just building with your children. So that not only building it in their minds that you're an authority, but building it in their minds that you also love them, that they feel wanted, loved, that they don't feel emotionally disconnected or emotionally neglected by you. But too many times, Black mothers are so detached and disconnected from their children that your children don't come to you for anything. They fear you to a certain degree, but then also because the time is not spent, they don't know who you are. And they feel pretty sure that you don't know who they are. You don't spend time to talk to them about what's going on in their lives, because a lot of times Black mothers do not see their children as separate human entities that are having their own life experience and their own experience of her. Black women suffer from the Black mother is God complex. So as long as she's paying the toll, she thinks that her children shouldn't have any complaints, which is a toxic masculine way to think about this. Because even good fathers know that the money is not the only thing that needs to be provided. The financial provision is not the only thing that his children need from him. They're going to need his time. They're going to need his foresight. They're going to need his masculine light. They're going to need his leadership. But Black mothers don't think about this type of stuff. They don't think about how their children need their time, how their children need. Women do have a limited amount of foresight that we can use. It's just not as much as men. But we've got enough to cover the foresight of children, because children often have none. We can at least think ahead for our children, think for them. You really got to think for your children, especially when they're young, because they don't know what's going on in the world. They don't have a good sense of things most times. They're operating from a very selfish place because they don't know any better and they don't have any more emotional development than that. So they're operating the way that children operate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as their mother, we should be able to foresee any problems that may arise and head them off at the pass for our children. A lot of times, but we're not paying attention. A lot of Black mothers just simply do not pay attention to their children enough to understand what's going on with them. So no time. You might pay the toll. Most of you will pay. Some of you are just trifling enough not to pay for nothing for your kids. Your kids suffer and you don't. But we're not going to get into them. We're going to go to the trouble. And the trouble, as I've defined it before, is the chaos. But trouble is also connected to problem solving, because when there is trouble, the next thing to do is to try to resolve that trouble or take on that trouble in order to resolve it. And as mothers, it's our job to take on the trouble of our children, to problem solve for them. So not only do we take time, which is connected to our connection, and emotional connection, affection, and love for them, that doesn't happen. And then the toll doesn't happen. It may or may not happen, but you really think that that's what's raising your kids. And it's not. Your children are missing these other three things from you. You give them provision, because toll is tied to provision. So you'll give them provision, but you won't give them protection, and you won't give them problem solving. So trouble is connected to problem solving, because you're looking at the types of trouble that your children may present to themselves, others, or may be presented to them. And what you need to do is problem solve for your kids. And many times Black mothers don't even know about their children's problems. You have no idea what your children's problems are in order to resolve them. You want the kids to resolve problems on their own. If they do come to you because there's a disconnect in the time, because there was no real emotional connection made with your children, or it was made on a very superficial, in a very superficial way, where the children don't feel safe. They don't feel emotionally safe with you, which they should, but they don't. So they hide things from you. They hide if they have problems. They try to take care of the problems on their own. They try to problem solve on their own because they don't trust you to do so. Because they feel they're going to either be in trouble, you're not going to listen, you don't know them well enough to understand that the nuances of maybe they didn't cause that trouble, but they part of it anyway. Like you will come up to the school and jump on them for some stuff that they not even really doing and they the victim. Proving that you don't really know your children very well. It's a lot of Black women that don't know who their children are. They don't understand, take the time out to deal with the personalities of their children and learn them. I'm 43 years old. My mother still don't know me because she didn't really take good time with me when I was growing up. And once I became an adult, it was such a toxic relationship that she can't really say she know me. She doesn't really know how I would handle certain situations or what I would say in certain situations or what I would do. She doesn't really know that stuff about me. She doesn't know about my stances on different topics and subject matter. She has no idea. And a lot of times this starts when the children are young. You just don't take no time to learn them. You be so busy trying to be in your own world, doing your own thing. Your children are an afterthought. That's why I'm asking the question, do Black women hate their children? Because your children are afterthoughts to you. You birth them. If it don't pan out the way you thought birthing them or whatever benefit you thought that you was going to get from them doesn't work out or whatever the case may be, you get bored of them and they're afterthought to you. You will throw them off on your mama, throw them off on a friend, throw them off on whoever. Or you take your frustration out on them, which causes a lot of the trouble that they have. So no wonder you can't problem solve for them because you're the source of their trouble. They got all their chaos from you because you have not presented any leadership system or structure because you don't have any. And the man that's their father, he either truly is a deadbeat or he's not. And you just saying he is because that's a good narrative for you to get away with the BS that you get away with. And then your children don't have a recourse. They can't come to you. They don't know where their daddy is. Other family members are on your side. So if they are having trouble with you, where can they come to? They can't talk to you about what their experiences are of you because you just threaten them again. Tell them they better shut up, go sit down. You don't give them a voice to do anything. So you don't assess any trouble. Because any trouble reflect badly on you because you're in charge of their environment, especially the home environment. You're in charge of that environment. And if they're not having a good experience of that, that's your fault as a mother. You're failing as a mother. And because you don't give the time, you barely give the toll, you don't assess no trouble and do no problem solving, threat is connected to protection. You don't even know how to protect your children. You don't know how to protect them from external threats, and you don't protect them from the threat of you. And you don't assess what kind of threat they can be to themselves or whether or not they're taking their frustrations with you out on other kids at school by being a bully or getting bullied. All you know is your kids fight all the time and you quote unquote don't know why they're doing that. But you fight all the time and you fight and argue with them. That's where they learn it. Black women seem to be the only mothers that think their children grow up in some type of a vacuum. That no matter what she does in their presence, to them, around them, for them, with them, that they not supposed to take none of that and be sponges and reflect any of that back onto her. Your children are nothing if they not little mirrors, if they not little sponges that soak up everything and reflect stuff back to you. Then you wonder why they turn out the way that they do. You don't spend time, toll, trouble, or threat. Your children aren't worth anything to you. They don't have any value to you. That's the bottom line. Your children don't have any value to you beyond whatever you were trying to get. If you had the baby to trap a dude and you didn't manage to trap him, your children don't have no value to you. That's why you only just feed them. But you don't take no time with them. You don't try to get to know them. You don't really raise them. You just maintain them with a little provision and feel that they're supposed to be all right. Well, I did the best I could. You know, you ain't never go hungry. You was never homeless. That's just the basic needs of a human being. What about your nurturing? What about your mothering? That don't have nothing to do with you feeding them and clothing them, how you treated them. treating them like property and not your children, not as separate human beings that have a full range of emotion and thought of their own. You view your children like utilities, little slaves that belong to you. You own them, and you get to dictate to them how they feel and how they perceive things. This is not true. This is why I asked the question, if you hate your children, because it seemed like a lot of Black women raise their children in discontent. They raise their children with disdain and bitterness. Rarely are Black women nowadays having children just because they want families and they want the children in a family setting. They really just want the children as a means to some type of end. And when your children are a means to some type of end, they don't have much value to you beyond that. That's why you get mad at them when they get older, because they're not serving no purpose no more. Whatever your purposes was for having them, it certainly wasn't to love on them. So sound off in the comment section and let me know, do you think that Black mothers raise their children in disdain or hatred, or are they having children for the most part because they want to be mothers and they want to love their children in a healthy, wholesome environment? Sound off in the comment section. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on that. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I am your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.